I still remember sitting in a coffee shop 3 years ago, watching this guy I knew get absolutely destroyed by his girlfriend over something that seemed completely innocent. She asked him if he wanted to grab dinner with her friends that night. Simple question, right? He said, sure, sounds great. 20 minutes later, she's giving him the cold shoulder, acting like he just committed some unforgivable sin. The poor bastard had no clue what hit him. He kept asking what was wrong, apologizing for things he couldn't even name, practically begging for forgiveness. What he didn't realize was that he just failed a test he never knew he was taking. Here's the brutal truth. Every single day, in ways both subtle and obvious, she's testing you. Not because she's manipulative or evil, but because her biology is literally wired to evaluate whether you're the kind of man who can handle her world. These aren't conscious tests with clear instructions and grading rubrics. They're instinctual evaluations happening beneath the surface of every interaction, every conversation, every moment of tension or uncertainty. And most guys, they're failing spectacularly because they don't even know the game is being played. You think you're just having a normal conversation about weekend plans, but she's actually measuring how you handle pressure. You believe you're being sweet by always agreeing with her, but she's interpreting that as weakness. You assume that constantly reassuring her shows you care, but to her unconscious mind, you're revealing that you're not confident enough to stand your ground. The man sitting in that coffee shop thought he was being supportive by immediately saying yes to dinner with her friends. What she actually heard was a guy who had no backbone, no plans of his own, and no ability to lead. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to recognize these tests when they happen, and respond in ways that actually build her attraction instead of killing it. The first thing you need to understand is that these tests aren't planned. She's not sitting in her room with a checklist thinking, "Today, I'm going to see if he caves when I act uninterested." This is hardwired survival programming that's been refined over thousands of years of evolution. Her subconscious is constantly asking one fundamental question. Is this man strong enough to protect me and our potential offspring when the world gets dangerous? That sounds dramatic, but your girlfriend's brain doesn't care about your feelings or modern society's rules. Deep down, in the part of her mind that kept her ancestors alive, she needs to know that when life gets hard, really hard, you won't crumble. So she creates scenarios, often without even realizing it, that reveal your true character under pressure. Think about the last time she started an argument about something that seemed completely random. Maybe she got upset because you didn't text her back fast enough, or because you made plans with your friends without asking her first. Your logical mind probably kicked in, trying to solve the problem with facts and explanations. "Honey, I was in a meeting. That's why I couldn't respond." Or, "I didn't think I needed permission to hang out with my buddies." But here's what you missed. She wasn't actually upset about the text or the plans. She was testing to see how you handle conflict. The weak man immediately goes into damage control mode. He apologizes even when he did nothing wrong. He abandons his position the moment she shows any emotional resistance. He starts explaining himself like a child who got caught breaking rules. What he doesn't realize is that every time he does this, he's failing the test. Her unconscious mind is taking notes. This man will fold under pressure. This man will sacrifice his own boundaries to avoid confrontation. This man cannot be trusted to stay strong when I need him most. The strong man responds completely differently. He doesn't get defensive or angry. He doesn't immediately try to fix her emotions. Instead, he stays calm, maintains his position, and shows her through his actions that her emotional storms don't control him. He might say something like, "I understand you're upset, but I'm not going to apologize for having a life outside of this relationship." Then he continues with his day as if nothing happened. What happens next is the real test. Most women will actually escalate the situation when you don't immediately cave. She might get more upset, accuse you of not caring about her feelings, or throw out some variation of fine if that's how you feel. This is where 95% of men completely lose their minds and rush back to apologizing. They think her escalation means they did something wrong. They don't understand that she's actually probing deeper now, seeing if your strength was real or just an act. The man who truly gets it knows that this escalation is actually a good sign. It means she's taking him seriously enough to apply more pressure. He stays calm, maybe even smiles a little, and continues to hold his ground. He doesn't try to argue his way out of it or convince her she's wrong. He simply shows her through his unshakable composure that he's not going anywhere, and he's not changing his position just because she turned up the heat. Here's where it gets really interesting. Within hours, sometimes minutes, her entire demeanor shifts. The anger disappears. She becomes more affectionate, more playful, more sexual. Guys who don't understand what just happened think it's random or that she's just moody. But what actually occurred is that she got the answer she was looking for. Her unconscious mind received confirmation that you're a man who can handle pressure, who won't abandon his principles when challenged, who possesses the kind of quiet strength she can actually rely on. You see this pattern everywhere once you know what to look for. She'll test your boundaries by asking you to cancel plans with your friends to spend time with her. She'll test your confidence by mentioning how attractive some other guy is. She'll test your leadership by refusing to make decisions about where to eat or what to do, then getting frustrated when you also refuse to choose. She'll test your emotional stability by creating drama out of nothing and watching how you respond. Each of these moments is a crossroads. You can either pass the test by staying true to your own frame and values, or you can fail by adjusting your behavior to manage her emotions. The irony is that the more you try to keep her happy by failing these tests, the less happy she actually becomes. A woman doesn't want a man she can control. She wants a man she can't break. The most dangerous test is the one that looks like genuine vulnerability. She comes to you with a problem. Maybe work stress, family drama, or some personal insecurity she's dealing with. Your instinct is to immediately jump into solution mode, to fix whatever is bothering her, to make her feel better. This feels like the right thing to do. It feels caring and supportive and masculine. But you're walking straight into a trap that will destroy her respect for you. What she's actually testing is whether you can handle her emotions without being consumed by them. Can you be present with her pain without needing to make it go away? Can you offer strength and stability without losing yourself in her problems? The moment you start frantically trying to solve her issues or getting visibly upset because she's upset, you fail. You've just shown her that her emotional state controls yours, which means you're not the rock she can lean on when life gets brutal. The man who passes this test does something counterintuitive. He listens without immediately offering solutions. He acknowledges her feelings without absorbing them as his own responsibility. He might say something like, "That sounds really difficult," and then wait to see what she does next. He's not cold or dismissive, but he's also not drowning in her emotional experience. He maintains his own emotional center while being present for hers. Watch what happens when you do this correctly. Instead of continuing to spiral in her problem, she often stops herself mid-sentence and says something like, "Actually, I think I know what I need to do." Or she shifts the conversation entirely, moving closer to you physically, becoming more affectionate. What just occurred is that she found the strength she was looking for. Not from you solving her problems, but from you demonstrating that you're unshakable enough to be her foundation when she needs one. Then there are the tests that come disguised as opportunities. She suggests you both go to some event you have zero interest in attending. She asks if you think her friend is attractive. She tells you about some guy at work who's been flirting with her and watches your reaction. These moments reveal everything about your confidence, your boundaries, and your understanding of your own value. The insecure man sees these as threats to be managed. He goes to the boring event to prove he's a good boyfriend. He lies about finding her friend attractive to avoid conflict. He gets jealous and possessive about the coworker and demands she quit or change jobs. Every single one of these responses broadcasts weakness and insecurity. They tell her that you don't believe you're valuable enough to maintain your own preferences, honest enough to speak truth, or confident enough to trust her loyalty. The confident man handles these situations completely differently. He politely declines the event he's not interested in and suggests an alternative. That's not really my thing, but how about we do X instead? He gives honest opinions when asked direct questions, delivered with a slight smile that shows he's comfortable with his own perspective. When she mentions the coworker, he might raise an eyebrow and say something like, "Sounds like he's got good taste," then change the subject. His response communicates that he's neither threatened nor particularly concerned because he knows his own worth. Here's what most men never grasp. She doesn't want you to be jealous. She wants you to be valuable enough that other people being interested in her doesn't faze you. She's not trying to make you insecure when she mentions the guy at work. She's trying to see if you believe you're the kind of man that women naturally choose over other options. Your calm confidence in that moment tells her everything she needs to know about how you see yourself. But the tests get more subtle as relationships deepen. She'll stop initiating physical affection and wait to see if you notice or if you just accept the new normal. She'll become less responsive to your texts and see if you start sending more messages or if you maintain your usual communication pattern. She'll withdraw sexually and observe whether you become needy and desperate or if you continue being the attractive man she originally chose. These aren't games for the sake of manipulation. These are unconscious evaluations of whether you're still the same strong man she was drawn to, or if you've gradually transformed into someone who needs her validation to feel good about himself. Women lose attraction to men who need them more than they want them. It's not personal. It's biological programming that she can't override any more than you can override your visual attraction to feminine beauty. The moment you start chasing her validation, pursuing her attention, or trying to negotiate for her affection, you've revealed that your confidence was conditional. You were only acting strong when she was giving you positive feedback. The second that feedback disappeared, you started scrambling to get it back. This tells her unconscious mind that your strength was never real to begin with. The man who understands this dynamic does something that seems almost cruel but is actually the most loving thing possible. When she pulls away, he gives her space. When she becomes less affectionate, he doesn't chase. When she tests his boundaries, he maintains them regardless of her reaction. He continues living his life, pursuing his goals, and being the man he was before she came along. This creates a paradox that breaks most people's brains. The more space you give her, the more she wants to close that gap. The more you maintain your own life and identity, the more she wants to be part of it. The less you need her validation, the more eager she becomes to give it. It sounds backwards because it goes against every romantic movie and love song that taught you that devotion means constant availability and endless accommodation. But think about it logically. What made her attracted to you in the first place? It wasn't your willingness to drop everything for her or your desperate need for her approval. It was your confidence, your independence, your ability to be a complete person without requiring her to fill some emotional void. The moment you start acting like you need her to feel whole, you've become a completely different person than the one she chose. Women test constantly because they're trying to figure out if the man they're with is real or just an act. Can you maintain your strength when she's crying? Can you hold your boundaries when she's angry? Can you stay centered when she's trying to destabilize you? Can you continue being attractive when she's not giving you the reactions that used to fuel your confidence? These aren't unfair questions. These are the exact qualities she needs to know you possess if she's going to trust you with her heart, her body, and potentially her children. The tests never completely stop, but they do change. In the beginning, she's testing to see if you're worth her time. Later, she's testing to see if you're still the man she fell for. Eventually, if you consistently pass, the tests become less frequent and less intense. Not because she stops caring, but because she stops doubting. She develops genuine trust in your character because you've proven it repeatedly under pressure. But here's the part that will either save your relationship or destroy it. You cannot pass these tests by trying to pass them. The moment you start thinking, "Oh, she's testing me right now, so I need to act strong," you've already failed. Real strength isn't something you perform when you think someone is watching. It's something you embody because it's who you actually are. Authentic confidence can't be faked long-term. Eventually, your true character emerges under pressure. This means the real work isn't learning how to respond to her tests. The real work is becoming the kind of man who naturally responds correctly because those responses flow from genuine strength, not calculated manipulation. You develop unshakable boundaries because you respect yourself, not because you think it will make her more attracted to you. You maintain your independence because you understand that your value doesn't come from her approval, not because you're trying to create some artificial scarcity. When you finally understand this dynamic, something profound shifts in all your relationships. You stop walking on eggshells around women's emotions. You stop apologizing for having standards and boundaries. You stop treating every disagreement like a crisis that needs immediate resolution. You become comfortable with the fact that sometimes she's going to be upset with you, and that's not your emergency to fix. This doesn't make you cold or uncaring. It makes you reliable. Women don't want a man who crumbles the moment they express dissatisfaction. They want a man who can weather their storms without losing his center. They want someone who loves them enough to stay strong when they temporarily lose their strength, not someone who joins them in the chaos. The man who gets this right discovers something that most guys never experience: a woman's genuine respect. Not the fake respect she gives you when you're bending over backwards to please her, but the real respect that comes when she sees you handle pressure with grace. When she knows that no matter what emotional hurricane she's going through, you'll be the calm in the center of it. When she understands that your commitment to her doesn't mean abandoning your commitment to yourself, that respect transforms everything. The tests don't disappear completely, but they become less frequent and less intense. Instead of constantly probing for weakness, she starts looking for opportunities to support your strength. Instead of creating drama to see how you'll react, she starts creating peace to see how much you can both accomplish together. Instead of testing your boundaries, she starts celebrating them because she finally understands that your boundaries are what make you valuable. But here's the part that will either liberate you or terrify you. This approach works whether she stays or leaves. The man who develops authentic strength doesn't need any particular woman to validate his worth. He's not performing strength to keep someone. He's embodying strength because that's who he chooses to be. This means he's completely willing to lose anyone who can appreciate his authentic self. That willingness to walk away, that genuine indifference to outcomes, is the most attractive quality a man can possess. Not because women want to be abandoned, but because they want to be chosen by someone who has options. They want to be valued by someone who doesn't need them to feel valuable. They want to be loved by someone who would survive just fine without them. Most men spend their entire lives trying to become someone women can't resist. They work out, make money, buy nice clothes, learn pickup lines, and study relationship advice, all in the desperate hope that they can finally become irresistible enough that women will stop testing them. They've got it completely backwards. You don't become irresistible by passing her tests. You become irresistible by being the kind of man who doesn't need to pass anyone's tests because you already know your own worth. You don't win her respect by never disappointing her. You win her respect by being strong enough to disappoint her when your principles demand it. You don't keep her attracted by always giving her what she wants. You keep her attracted by being someone she can't control, can't break, and can't live without. The woman sitting across from you right now is testing you. Maybe subtly, maybe obviously, but she's evaluating whether you're still the man she thought you were. Your response to that reality will determine everything. You can spend your energy trying to figure out what she wants to hear, or you can spend it becoming the kind of man who naturally says and does the right things because they flow from genuine strength. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. She's not testing you to see if you're good enough for her. She's testing you to see if you're good enough for yourself.